This Daf Yom Yerushalmi Shevi'is. In the Arts Ozah edition, we're on Daf Lamed Aleph, the fourth line down, Tani Avashol, which in the Vilna is on Yud Aleph Lamed Aleph. Um, in Halacha Dalid, no, yeah, Halacha Dalid. Third line, uh, third line from the bottom. But I want to say, and this learning, the Yerushalmi should be as close to Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael, studying about Torah Shivya, and in the Milchama in Gaza against the Tzar HaTorah, Soni Yamach Shmo V'Zichro. So I want to point out one thing here, which is yesterday, the last thing we said, Rosh Gamliel Mer, I read it like the Vilna and the Kavanaki. I feel b'toch sodem mutter, even if in your own field it's mutter. But actually, it's most minded as long as you don't put the furs close together. So it's clear that you're actually just practicing. The art scrolls girsa. I don't know why they put this in if it's not in the Vilna, but they put it inside the. And it's the the pitfall of having all these different versions. They have I feel told stay chavero mutter. Actually, it's malchus amane, and I think the Pashut shot is like the Vilna and the Kavanaki. Even within your own field, it's mutter. Stay chavero. It's more pushing to be matter when you use the word afilu on that. Okay, Tani Abba Shol Omer. So I'm going to Kavanaki here, which I think is very similar to what we have in the, so to speak, regular Gemaras. Mavrin, you can burn out, or which mean, and actually, be Mavarin. It would be the burn out here means to cut down. Cut down down to the ground. Bechorshim in forests when you need the wood because don't cultivate forests. V'komei me'oretz. That means that you can smooth it straight down to the ground. Uvachal ekutz b'kardom, but you should not do that with a kind of almost an axe. But here's one that was I guess more similar to an hoe, which because it looks like then you're going to try and not just go, cut down the tree, but also dig down into the ground in order to prepare the dirt. And even in a forest, they ask you to do that. The aim bokim azroim ba'adama ba'tzitz. You can't check seeds to see if they grow, which is a form of zoreh, of course, which is also in shmita. Even in a tzitz, even in a flower pot, which normally should be okay because a flower pot is not considered to be karka, so it shouldn't be an issue of shmita. So I'm not sure why they asked it here, but it says here that you are allowed to do it. Abokas beglolim shabatzitz. If in your tzitz you have excrement, then that's okay. You're allowed to plant in the in excrement in the flower pot. Okay, so again, not sure even with dirt in the flower pot why it should be an issue. And he's saying the Chaznish does say it's talking about, as the article brings down in the footnote in 7, that it would talk about even an otzit she'eino nakuv, which is not the karka d'oraisa. And nevertheless only matzah beglowing. But he does suggest maybe some an otzit nakuv, a flower pot, which it does have a hole in it. And then it should be pashut also because then it's considered mechubah karka. But you don't leave it there until it fully takes root. But you leave it there for 3 days, which by that time you can see, an expert can see if it's actually going to grow or not. We don't let you do that in the dirt in a perforated flower pot, which has hole, but you can do it in glowing in the perforated flower pot. So the second shot of Chazon seems to be more in line with what we understand to be the halacha of Shemitah, because he's saying that in that case, even though normally it should be usher to plant in a perforated flower pot because it's zipping on the ground, but if you're doing it in glolim, then it's clear you're just doing in order to check it out. Presumably, you have to remove again by 3 days. You have to remove it as soon as an expert can tell. But they let you do that glowing. The shortness of Shevi'is Motzei Shevi'is, and you can soak it in water for in order to plant the Motzei Shevi'is. So this sounds like the first shot, right? In other words, even though it's not mechubel l'karka, we're not going to let you do it normally. Like obviously, it could best be the worst being this is the rabbanon because it's just water, hydroponics, so to speak. But here too, you're not allowed to do it, and you're only allowed to. No, I'm sorry, you're allowed to do it. Otherwise, well, it'd be the chiddush. No, I'm sorry. You're showing some issues, you are allowed to do it, and the chiddush is that you're. No, you wouldn't. So you wouldn't be allowed to do this in the ground. I guess, yeah, maybe in the ground too. You know what? Why not? Even if it's not the ground. I mean, even a perforated flower pot be the same thing. You could say, well, water is like lulling. It's not there planting. So therefore it'd be okay. But the pashas is like the first part. The reason why you're allowed to soak in the water, and it doesn't look like it's mechubel l'karka, is because it's not perforated. Okay, so Mekayim is alui b'rosh hagag. You can keep aloe, like aloe vera, at the top of your roof, and there's no isser svichim. Normally, things which grow wild in the field are, if they are things which would otherwise be cultivated, also because of svichim, svichim shvi'is, but not this aloe which grows on the roof because that's not the derech where normally svichim grow. So that is enough of a shinui that you can sustain them and use them. For lo mashkin osa, but you can't water it because watering it is like we're causing it to grow. Obviously, aloe evidently says kavanoki is a type of plant where it can grow even if you don't water it. So therefore, it's to water is like not leukmei lona but lavrui lona, and that you're not allowed to do during shmita to enhance it. Ain't only tukin b'ta'ena. This is you're not allowed to put tukin, which is a language of something which is an onesh, a type of punishment in a ta'ena tree. So how do you do? What do you do? Maise, or in other words, what is this? What is this? Tukin. So maise yichur de ta'ena. You bring a branch from a fig tree which produces fruit, short here, and you use it to beat a tree which is not producing fruit properly, the tolila, and you hang it on there. V'amari say, Hada avda v'yat lo avda. This branch produces fruit, and you're not producing fruit. So, so this is some sort of way to get the non-producing fig tree to produce fruit. And you're not allowed to do this on Shemitah because it looks like you're cultivating the tree on Shemitah, even though you're not directly cultivating it. The Kavanaki says maybe this is like the case you have in Bavli and Shabbos, Samach Zayin, where you draw a red line on the tree in order people should dive in for the tree. So maybe people see you doing this and they'll be mispal for your tree, and that's what it causes it to grow. But in any event, it looks like you're cultivating the tree, and therefore you can't do it on the during Shemitah. So it says, wait a minute. The case of the Bavli, here's the case of Bavli, and it says you can do it. But looking at time, we learn Elon Shumanaba Peroisa, a tree which the fruit fall off before they ripen. Soaking Osoba Sikra, you can put a red, painted red. Matina Osoba Avanim, and you can weigh it down with stones. And the weighing down with stones is supposed to sap the strength of the tree so it doesn't grow so energetically, which is why it pushes off its fruit before it's ripe. So Vatin lay the Ovid, and this is the Tosefta continues and says that Vatin lay usually means to frighten it, but here the Kamaki translates that you embarrass it in order to make peros. And we see that you're allowed to be mavayish the tree by the red paint or by the stones in order that it should preserve its fruit. So again, I guess there's another pshat in Avanim, because as far as I recall, Avanim are done in order to sap the strength of the tree. But I guess here the Yerushalmi is going to do the assumption that that's not the case. Let's see what the Ritbaz says here. The Ritbaz says, "Ein tolim tukin b'te'ena." Before she was about tukin, ma'isi yuchol te'ena, but shut the taba v'ran hoda v'rav lo'esa peish dezel lachash u'skula. She's abed elon peros or also b'shvis l'meba bo park lo keintani elon shu nebros also skula the sokol so b'sikra madinos of ma'avanim mahavadin lei tiavad zel skula shlo yoshe peroisov amadu she's mutal associated skula lei elon she's lo dami that's still not comparable. So the Yerushalmi is clearly going with the putting on the stones being here a skula, not like, if I recall correctly in the Bavli, it's in order to sap its strength. So it's a skula, so we see you can do a skula. And the Gemara answers that Amar Tamad lo yitin pereisov. There it said it shouldn't drop its fruit. So you're not causing it to grow because not to drop its fruit. That's okay. But here, you're doing it. You're already doing it in order that it should grow fruit. That's much more of a marasayin issue than causing the fruit not to fall. Yeah. So the Pnei Moshe brings down the pshat by Avonim, that Avonim is to sap the strength, and then he says, and the Bryce goes on and says, and there's no issue of darchei amoiri when you're doing these things for the tree because it's not superstition, it's not voodoo, it's in order that people should daven, like the Kavanaki says, or some sort of other form of skula. But the Avonim, I guess, can be interpreted as a natural cure for the tree, and could also be interpreted as a skula in order to get people daven, or somehow, or something along those lines. Okay, so that, but the mitzvah is in any event, you can't do it because it is, here it's in order to make it grow. Ve'imar kimin d'kolim, and you also can't graft palm trees. Evidently, says the Kavanaki, they will bring branches of some sort of a male palm tree and graft them onto female palm trees, and I guess that's the way you make the trees, and that's the way it produces fruit. Now do Shevi'is because you're trying to produce fruit. What's the Chiddush? Says the Gemara, Shelo Tomar, Hovu Ruba Shari, and the Kavanaki's Gear says, Hovu Hefsed Rabbi, since it's a great loss, and you're allowed to do it. And the Kavanaki references the Gemara Pesachim, where it says that they were matir to Anshe Richo to do Harkava Erev Pesach the entire day, because it's a substantial loss not to do this Harkava. So in the Erev Pesach, not supposed to do Malacha. They're matir the entire day on Erev Pesach in order to be able to save to make sure the trees produce fruit. The Chiddush is that, okay, Erev Pesach, okay, but not during Shemitah. Okay, says the Gemara further, and there's going in the second part of the Mishnah, that, did I read this part of the Mishnah? I don't remember. Because again, I remember one of the Kavanaki or not. Okay, so let's read it again, but the second part of the Mishnah from Amud Aleph. Hamavkia, Bezais, somebody who chops wood off a olive tree in order to use it as wood. You can't cover the place where you cut it with dirt because that's going to cause it to grow. You can cover it with stone or with straw. Somebody who cuts beams from a sycamore tree. Also, shouldn't use dirt. You can use stones or straw. You can't cut a sycamore which has never been cut before during Shemitah, mibnei shehi avoda, because that is avoda. In other words, it enhances the tree, it makes the trunk grow better. He says that the cut of psula shikma in the normal way is awesome. You can make a shinui, which is either you can go more than 10 tefachim above the ground, which is not the derech, obviously. This is so it's too high. Or the other way around, going me'aretz, you can go directly down to the ground, which is the also not the way normally done. So you can make a shinui in a way which doesn't make it grow better, and then I assume it doesn't kill it, but doesn't make it grow better. And then it's not clear that you're not doing it in order to make it better. Therefore, you're allowed to cut it away in order to get the koros hashikma, the beams from the sycamore tree. Says Gemara, "Ein kotzim sulos hashikma, tana mishlosha v'atisha himasnisa." So that which you're not allowed to, this follows up directly Rabbi Yehuda. That which you're not allowed to cut from the sycamore tree, and the sulos shikma is only from 3 tvachim to 9 tvachim, right? But anything which is below 3 tvachim is like the ground, or above 9 tvachim is considered to be too far above the ground. So so that was Yehuda was. I think this is going to Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe not. Let's see the Rebaz here. The Rebaz says, "Mishlosh Tisha Masih Per Shahad the time Maslisa. God Besuas Shik Masfid Rabbi Yehuda. The God Man Ma'aretz. So might be a sort of talking. And going Rabbi Yehuda. Hakavana the App Pachas Mishlosh Mutar. Even less 3 doesn't be Mamish Minor. It can be less than 3 Tvachim. When the Mutar Mamish just like it's above 10 Tvachim. Nami, just like above 10 Tvachim is Mutar. Nami Pachas Mishlosha. So the less than 3 is Mutar. Rak Mishlosha Asur. It's only Asur from 3 to 10. 3 to 9, meaning here 3 to 10. The derek goes to show which is the normal way of cutting it. Says Babasa Kosina Mishlosh V'ad Asora. You have to change the girsa from Mishlosh Tisha to Mishlosh V'ad Asora. And gives the Marav Zatzal V'chein Ikar. That is the primary girsa. Which brings us to Halacha Hey. Hamazani B'Kafanim. Somebody who is cutting the branches of the palm tree, which are superfluous. But you're going to use them for wood. You're not pruning. You're not doing the prune the tree. You're doing to use the wood. Yarchik tefach. You should go up in the branch a tefach away from the trunk before you cut it. Rabbi Kiva Omer koitzitz kidarka b'kayim mago. He says you don't have to listen to a tefach. You just normally cut a branch with an axe or with a sickle. Or gira with a saw, and as much as you want, I guess, or with whatever tool you want. Ilan shenifshach, if you have a tree which is split, the trunk split. So kosher, so she's going to tie the trunk up on shvius to keep it, to sustain it. Below shiala, not should it get better, which is avruya ilana, which is no good, and shlo yosef shouldn't get worse. Okay, the Gemara says. Kotzetz bekanim. That is a header which you find in the Kavanaki and in the Yard Scroll, but not in the Vilna. Tani, we learned hakotzetz bekanim. Somebody who is. I skipped in the Mishnah. Hakotzetz bekanim. I think I might have skipped those words in the Mishnah. Hakotzetz bekanim. Same idea that you're cutting reeds for using you want to use the wood. So in a place where the custom is to cut with a tool, you should pluck with your hand. So you have to make a shinui. Latuk, the place where the minig is to pluck, yakutz, you should cut with a keli. So see, one way is not better than the other. We have to mishana. Do it the other way. Magriya tefach v'koitzeitz, and you lift it up a tefach and you cut. That's what he said in the Mishnah. Tanakama said. I'll say Rabbi Yosef hakotzitz b'koros loya machlik umadrik. So somebody who is cutting branches of a tree for beams, he should not smooth out the place where he cut it, and also where they used to make like smooth it and then make like a madrega. I don't know exactly what the step did, but that somehow is for the benefit of the tree, and that you can't do it during Shemitah. Madrig umachlik, vice versa. I guess sometimes they were machlik umadrig, sometimes they were madrig machlik madrig, they're madrig umachlik. Ela miskavich and take tzitzah and shava. What you can do is you can make sure when you're cutting it, you can cut it in a way which makes it a smooth cut. but not afterwards. Once you cut it off, you got to leave it whatever, however it was. So we try to make a smooth cut, but that's it. Um, Tani, we learned. Hashem going to do Tani, Hashem going to mer. Makash no glachlik yadrig. No, you have to be mishana. Being mishana, you place where they smooth, you can make a step. Lidrog to make a step, yachlik. So you can do one or the other, but not both. Okay, and place when you have to make a shin in front that's normally done. Okay, and we said in the Gemara, v'goyme mishum in the Mishnah, v'goyme mima oretz. We not saying the Mishnah. No, it's not. Well, I'm going to the Mishnah. We're going to Rabbi Kiva by reeds. And this time we're about to say agrees to Rabbi Kiva that he can cut it the normal way, even from the ground, without a chakas tefach. Yeah, and but he argues Rabbi Kiva's matter even to use a cardom, but he doesn't. Okay? We got going you can go from the ground, flush from the ground, but you can't use a cardom, you can't use a that type of instrument, which is going to look like you're actually trying to work the ground. Again, it's an axe, which is like a hoe in some way, shape, or form. Here we have a header in the art scroll and in the Kavanaki. Rabbi Yisrael Omer Yachik Tefach, Rabbi Kiva Omer V'chulei. Name Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Shammai. Let's say Yisrael is going to Rabbi Shammai, who's chayshesh that you're going to. It looks like you're working the ground. That's you can't go flush to the ground. He will hold like Basil that we're not chayshesh for that. That we had that before in the first paragraph of the Mishnah, he was like Basil says so we're not chayshesh that kind of marriage. Chena sina misnei Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Shammai. Do we really want to say this? That Rabbi Yisrael goes like Beishamai? But that's really, we don't do that, right? El Rabbi Yisrael chashash la'avodas ha'ilon. Rather, Rabbi Yisrael says that if you cut off the tree for you prune the grapevine for its own purpose, so it's really zoymer mamish, which is when amalacha during shmita. As opposed to being made by olives. So, but by olives, there's a way of thinning them out. It's not going to be zomer. So even doing for the trees which remain, evidently it doesn't improve them. It's only menakesh, which is a tolada of choresh. So that is not considered to be not as terrible. Not exactly clear why. That's Kamnaki. The Ritbaz explains. That is considered to be avodah the grapevines. Low down in the meidel, but kaitzitz le'etzim, where you're cutting for wood by the olive wood, but lo mekel ala kerem, but it doesn't make it better for the that case the olive the olive grove. It's not maybe it was by olives. Okay, in any event, so there, it's really Basil the Sharesh. Basil says, okay, to go down to the roots. The cave on the B'shtayim, Eino Moel La Karka. I'm not sure what B'shtayim means. This is at the bottom of the Ritbaz, I should say. But anyway, it's not affected the ground. Not just going to fix the olive trees. What's the B'shtayim here? B'shtayim. Oh, 2 trees. Right, that's what we had before. Yeah. Made is when you thin out the trees. And we're allowed to do 2 trees out of 3. 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3. So again, evidently by the Kfanim, it's when you're pruning. Now I think I must say a copy document. when you're pruning the trees, so then the trees themselves, so then that's good for the trees. By Meidel, you're not really doing, it's not as good for the trees, not causing things to grow, because you're doing just dispersing, right? You're making larger gaps in the field. So therefore, that it's not considered to be the same thing as causing growth. If anything, it's a lot of choresh because you're clearing the field. And evidently, that's less of a maris ayin to clear the field than to actually cause a growth spurt. Um, the so the way that Brit Baz says it, I'm not going to read it inside, but he says it's a miktas pula. Whereas Charisha has a hechsher for Zriya, but the Zriya is always the Iker Pula. So by the Geffen, this is the Iker Pula. When you zomer it, when you prune the tree, it's going to cause things to grow. So therefore, it's more usher than Charisha, something which is doimit to Charisha, because again, I'm holding with Marazayin here, which is not intrinsically connected to Zriya, which is a separate step. So therefore, we're more machmir in the Maris Ayin of the grapevines, where the pruning is going to cause growth directly, than when you're meidel in zaysim, where you're clearing out, which looks like you're working the ground, but doesn't look that you're actually causing things to grow. Something along those lines. And again, it's only enough for me, which makes sense if the whole thing is an issue of Maris Ayin. And that brings us to the end for today.